Hello, everyone. Welcome to another, we'll say, tropical Thursday from the Housewives of Miami. I'm joined by Cortez and Shantae. How are y'all doing today?
Shantae, you can go ahead. Ladies go first.
Well, yeah, I'm happy to see you guys. I thought this episode, especially this week, was really good. So I want to chop it up with you guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of
I'm
sad.
good.
It was a kind of sad episode at times too.
It
Hmm.
did have a moment. It had a moment where I was like, oh, but maybe it wasn't. We'll talk about it, but it wasn't as sad to me because we kind of already touched on this area, but just I guess now we see how emotional the emotions are attached to it. But I'm glad to be here. I haven't been here for this panel in a while. I am part of this panel, but I'm part of many other panels, just like myself, Danny, Jamie. A lot of us are, so it's good to be here with y'all.
That's wonderful. So, viewers, before we get started, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you can be tuned into all the latest from the lean, any last minute things that we do. And just to be aware of our schedule, we're always getting asked, when are you recapping this? Are you doing that? The easiest way to find out and stay in the know is by subscribing to the channel. We really appreciate all of you. Before we
Hmm.
get into this week's episode, we didn't have a recap last week. So last week's episode is kind of so we're not going to recap the whole thing, just three scenes, and then we'll move in to this week's episode. So one of the scenes we're going to recap from last week is Larsa having an argument with Alexia because Alexia says Larsa is always trying to do free promo on the show. Larsa gets offended because she's doing things all on her own, and she says, "Well, I don't have a Todd." And Alexia, in her true fashion, she gets upset with Larsa and starts getting very defensive. And it seems like all Larsa really wants is to get credit for doing things on her own. They go back and forth. Alexia took it as a dig that, since she has a tie, she doesn't support herself. And, it's just very loud back and forth. And in the background of all this, we see Marisol getting sick with Julia and Adriana trying to fan her back to life. Shantae, I'll start with you. What did you think of Alexia versus Larsa?
Oh my gosh, those two, they're actually a good match because they're both so stubborn and they both refuse to back down. So it was actually really funny watching them give each other the blues that they give everybody else. So I kind of loved it. But what I didn't like was Kiki in the confessional with the dildo as the Kleenex because, she had done so well the episode before, showing her background. I was like, we back again with the dildos and the little stunts. But other than that, that scene was really, really funny to me.
Cortez?
I don't have much to add, but I guess at first I was trying to understand what Larsa meant when she said about she doesn't have a Todd. I mean, obviously it wasn't. I don't think it was in the way that Alexia took it, but I mean, that was my only confusion of like, what does she mean specifically by she don't have a Todd? I mean, because she's had a Todd, she's had something that was better than a Todd, so I didn't really understand. As if she had like she just isn't Larsa Pippen,
Well,
like she wasn't just
you
married Scottie Pippen. I don't understand it. Like, what does that mean?
you hit it on the head for me because it's like, it's not like you're not getting child support. It's not like your daughter is living in Miami with you. So I mean, I get, yeah, you don't have a Todd, but you still get child support, and
You had a
you got a
Todd, you had a better Todd. I mean, if
and you got
I
a
don't know,
Marcus.
yeah, you have Marcus exactly. If I was Marcus, I'd be like, well, damn, what the hell am I?
So yeah, I did enjoy seeing them two go back and forth though because you rarely see them at odds, and like Shantae said, neither one is backing down. But I will say, 3 minutes into it, I was exhausted
Mm.
They
because
don't
neither one is.
they don't provide a I don't want to see them beef because they don't provide a good. It's not entertaining. They're both like
Mm-mm.
Shantae said. They're kind of the same person, so it's like
It's like watching a
it's
tennis match that just won't end.
exactly. I didn't. It wasn't anything to be like, oh, this is good. It was just like, oh, okay, they're arguing. All right, get over it.
And then we also have Adriana rehearsing for her big performance. She goes to practice. She takes Julie and Kiki with her. And it's The dancers are hot, according to Kiki, honey, and she didn't care that they were gay. She wanted every last one of them. I want to ask you guys, how prepared do you think Adriana is going to be for her performance? Shantae?
Adriana's my girl, so she's gonna kill it no matter what. But
Mm-hmm.
the rehearsal scared me. She should have went to the church with them this week to pray for him, because after that rehearsal, she's gonna need a miracle, Jesus, the angels, everything. Because yeah, Kiki was right. That rehearsal was very, very troubling. But I know Adriana's gonna pull it out.
I have
Tez?
an add to that. I hope she does well. I hope she does great.
I'm just hoping to say when the performance done, I want to at least be able to say I like the beat. Thought it was fun. I
I'm just
want,
ready
I
for
want
the
to.
move on to get a whole new single. I'm ready. This
I
fire
just
and
don't want to be like Nene was in the background when Kim was performing on that stage, and Nene goes, "I don't want to be doing that one."
well, she's not
Fucking
singing
crap.
live. I don't think so. She won't be doing that. So we won't get the.
Yeah.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
And then the other scene we're gonna cover here is the dinner scene where they have that artist, telling him he paints images from his dreams, and instead of admiring the artwork, the ladies, and like they always do, get to arguing. Larsa decides to play truth or dare, and when it is Gertie's turn, Gertie gets it going by asking Larsa about the fake tears comments she recently made in the podcast, as she thought they were good. Everything was going great between them. And Larsa, she won't ever admit when she's wrong, so she gets very defensive and makes an attempt to justify the comments that she made. Shantae, floor is yours.
This scene just made me so irritated with Larsa again, because I was just like, why can't you just do right? She just won't ever admit that she's wrong. And after seeing, this episode today too, I see it more as a pride issue with her. And I think she does have sense, and she showed a little bit this episode that she does have sense, but her pride is stronger than her sense of right and wrong at times. So this is one of those cases where, she really should have just acquiesced to Gertie and apologized, but that Larsa, that pride comes before a fall every single time with her.
I agree. Cortez, anything on Larsa being her normal self?
I know that they're supposed to be okay, but I just won't. I mean, if somebody says somebody is very sensitive to your whole cancer journey, I don't think you should be surprised by anything else they do at that point. I mean, yeah, you can move forward with them, but I mean, you know, at
Sit
this
on
point,
Rick.
like I said, talking to Larsa, she's not going to take any accountability. So it's like, call her out. You're calling her out maybe for the show or to put her on the spot. But one thing of Larsa, which I can say I could admire about her if I liked her, is that she can crawl herself out of a corner. She can be put on the spot and she's going to come out swinging. Whether she wins or loses, she will come out swinging, and that's because she will not own up to what she says. Sorry, she will not own. She won't own up and actually apologize for it. So she'll say she said it. She doubles down, but she won't acknowledge that it may be wrong. And so with that little, I guess that skill set, that characteristics about herself, it allows her to have a very strong defense, and no one really can get to her. At least we haven't seen it outside of making her mad. But in terms of like calling her out, embarrassing her, other than Nicole last year with the mirror,
That was funny.
she can never really, in my opinion, be truly embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but
Yeah.
in this moment, girl, Gertie, just let Larsa be for the streets, because that's where she came from.
Yeah, call that one an L, Gertie, just because you're never going to get nowhere. So let's get on to the good stuff. So this episode begins with Nicole arriving in Mexico. She just worked a 24-hour shift and took the red eye. So she instantly meets up with Julia while Julia's getting her makeup done, and Julia tells her about the dinner the night before. We then see the ladies meet up in the lobby and learn that Adriana is not going to be attending, as she will be resting for her upcoming performance. We also learn that Julia does not want to go to the church, as she has turned away from religion ever since her son died as an infant. We see the ladies arrive at the beautiful cathedral, and they begin to kneel down on the shrine, where Lisa asks if they give you anything for your knees to kneel on, as they're praying. Um, and as they're praying, Alexia's thinking about Frankie. Gertie's thinking about her cancer. I'm sure the other ladies are thinking about the things currently affecting them. I don't think we even have to guess what Lisa's praying about. And as as Gertie is crying, it was very nice to see Larsa put her arms around her tightly, showing her both physical and emotional support. And Alexia, not to be outdone, starts to comfort Gertie as well. And, this seems to be a real moment of unity for the group as they're all there for each other. And I think it's most shown with Julia choosing to be in a church when the church brings nothing but bad memories and pain for her, but she goes to be there in support of the women. Shantae, I will start with you.
Yes, so here, this actually connects to the last points we're making about Larsa, because again, I think her pride won't let her apologize, but she knows deep in her heart what she was doing and what Gertie needs. So that's why she was there, being the shoulder literally for Gertie to cry on. And that scene made me cry, as a lot of these episodes of Miami do, because it was so powerful to just feel the outpouring of love. And there's a saying where 2 or 3 are gathered, God is there, and just the fact that the girls got on one accord was so beautiful to see. I mean, this show really delivers a lot of ups and downs, and I think this was a really big high for the season, just how powerful all the girls finally rallying around Gertie, and also just showing the power of the spirit. And just through the screen, I could feel the energy. So I hope it was just as healing for Gertie, to feel the love.
Well, I don't think Lisa rallied around her. I think Lisa was praying about Lenny. I don't think Lisa prayed about Gertie
Leave
one
her out
time.
this. She canceled for me for this episode.
Cortez?
For me, I think it was a bit emotional. I didn't cry or nothing, but I felt really bad for Julia. And it's just because basically what she exemplified was saying that she lost faith in God, because there was a time where she reached out to him and she felt like there was no answer, there was no resolution. And I hate to hear that feeling from someone, what I'm saying? I'm not going to go into religion, but to see someone feel like almost like she has no one, or someone that's, I didn't like that feeling for her. And so but what I applaud is that she was able to be there, because we've seen many times where women don't support a church or voodoo or whatever case they be, and they won't do it, right? Mm-hmm. So I like that she was there to support, even though you can tell she was a bit uncomfortable. And so that was my takeaway from it. Obviously, Gertie and the other women supporting her. Personally, I feel like Larsa grabbing onto Gertie was a bit of a stunt, in my opinion. I feel like it was more authentic from Alexia than Larsa. But I think it's just to save face, to be like, well, I was talking, whatever, and saying all these things, but let me hug her because they're going to say that, I was there for her. No. And clearly in this moment, the confessional, it may have worked because you see Gertie say, we had such a huge moment in no, y'all did. No, no, y'all didn't. I didn't believe it. I wasn't here for it. I was here for Gertie and the support, I guess, from Alexia, but Larsa, I think it was just a stunt. And I'm just
so there's only one reason that I'm inclined to, agree or like say I get your perspective, because there was one moment where I saw Larsa like kind of looking up at the camera from the side of her eye when they were showing.
Yeah, I did see that. And I was like, it was weird. It was almost like, you got this moment, you get this angle.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What I got most from this scene was something that I always wondered. I know y'all may think it's silly, because of course it was touching the Gertie, scene, because we haven't, in my opinion, been able to cover Gertie's cancer with compassion from the other girls yet. It's always been an argument, with her and Larsa, or she's just always been there amongst an argument, and the cancer isn't really addressed, and we've only seen the support really from strong from Nicole and her family. Yeah. But it was interesting for me to see and finally understand why Julia loves animals so much, learning that her dog was what really kept her from committing suicide when her son died. So it was, I totally get it now why she loves animals so much. Because I was always wondering,
Mhm.
girl, what is it with you and animals, Miss Thing? But now I get it. Um,
Yeah.
so now the ladies get back to their room to change for the boat ride, and Lisa receives a phone call from Lenny, who does not agree to be on camera or filmed, and he wants to add one little thing to the settlement agreement. We learn that Lisa has signed the agreement, but her mood has completely shifted. And the ladies gather up in the lobby and they arrive to the boat where they see a boat named Miami Mommies. And Lexi says she named the boat. It was her doing. She decorated it. She did everything. Um, so the boat ride starts off fun as the ladies are enjoying the ambiance. They discuss Lisa's situation for a bit. I guess they figured let's get this out the way so we can enjoy the rest of the ride. But all I did was, oh, when I heard it.
Oh.
Um, and then Lisa decides to get up to go see if she can steer the boat herself. In her heels, I was praying she fell in that water. Y'all,
Yeah, I think
I
everybody
was
was.
praying.
I think
I
everybody
was
was
praying
hoping
for
that
that.
she fell in. Clearly, she was hot.
Yes. Um, while she's back there with the gondolier, she sees that he is red in the face and gives her some water. So I was like, okay, nice humanitarian moment for her. Um, but then Lisa sits back down and they ride by some houses, that to the average American person, if you see them, you'd be, most elitist people might say stuff like, oh, wow, glad I don't live there, stuff like that. But these ladies say it makes them grateful for what they have. But it rubs Kiki the wrong way because these are the types of houses that Kiki was raised in and that some of her family still has. And the comments from the girls come off very elitist to Kiki and to some of the viewers, as I saw on Twitter. So before I go into, the rest of the boat ride, I just want to cover that little part. Cortez?
So I understand. I say for Kiki, I mean, I can understand how this could be a bit close to home for her and how she was raised and where she's from in Haiti. I can understand that, but I don't think the ladies meant any harm. I know there's a way, you can still, intent versus impact hurt somebody by words, but I think they said it in the nicest way that they could. About the living, I don't think they ever did. Well, not we'll get to that, but they weren't disrespectful because I mean when I travel, when you go anywhere out of the country, coming from the US, obviously we're privy to a lot more here than other third world countries and things like that. So when we go places, it's a little different. And I may think it'll say certain things, but I think, like you said, they didn't say what would you say the distinction was? They said that it was they could see
They didn't
how they
say anything negative. They were just like, it makes them grateful for what they have. And they also said, and I bet you they're very happy too.
exactly. And I think what they basically were saying was like they're grateful for what they have. They may not have what I have or what we have, but they're happy. They're not wanting for anything. And I think that was what was important. So I mean, Kiki has a right to feel their way, but I'm glad she didn't make a moment, at least not in this moment about them, because she could have been like one of the women that really be projecting and be mad at everybody. Like y'all are being disrespectful. She wasn't giving that. So
Oh, like Alisa did later.
yes, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Shante.
But quickly, one thing as far as
Oh, okay.
Lisa and this divorce, I haven't been on this panel in a minute, but I've been watching, and I'm still sick of it. I've been sick of it the entire season,
Yeah.
and I'm just ready for this to wrap up because you can spiral, you can do all these things, but baby, you gotta just sometimes you gotta cry about it and then move on. Like you really have to move forward in life with certain things. We've all been through stuff. I know this is a divorce, but baby, I still feel the same. Let it go. Move on. We tired of hearing about it.
I'm so tired, child. How you say I'm so tired, child?
Yes.
I had to put this comment up because I just thought it was hilarious. Hashtag Team Lenny. Hashtag Justice for Jody.
Now,
From
what in the
Nisha.
world, Nisha?
Jody is a
Seriously.
victim. um, Shante.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Lisa came into the scene with a dark cloud over her just because of all the Lenny things. And I think what the girls were trying to do in a roundabout way, was to make her have perspective. And they're talking about how, look how someone else lives, because she's looking for like all these $1 million houses she can't afford and fighting Lenny and crying over probably a settlement that's gonna give her millions anyway, maybe not as many millions as she thinks she deserves, So I think that when they were saying these things, they were trying to make a environment, where Lisa and everybody else would feel grateful for what they have, especially because Lisa came onto the boat, with her bad mood because of the divorce. But at the end of the day, they were unintentionally offending a lot of people. And that's why we need perspectives like Kiki. We need people to kind of rethink what is considered blessed or not, because a lot of that rhetoric when they're like, oh, at least you have this, at least you have that. So are you saying that people that don't have that stuff aren't blessed? We always have to be very careful with how we speak on things and people, always, even though the intention can be good, and I do again think the general intent was to get everybody to have perspective and count their blessings. Don't basically crap on someone else to make yourself feel and look better, because that's what they were unintentionally doing, when trying to get people to have that perspective.
Yeah. I will say too, I thought that they were being good friends because as sick as they are of hearing it, they did allow Lisa the space to vent in the beginning. Because I wouldn't have been here for it. I would have been like, girl, we're not here for that. You want to get off real quick and go back to the room before we take off? Because I'm not here for it. So yeah. So then in the midst of all this, they see some dogs. And
Wait,
Lisa
you
says
missed
they look.
get to that part too. I don't know if you're gonna mention it, but the Larsa,
Oh yeah, the
Larsa,
Larsa fight.
Larsa and Lisa.
Oh yes.
Their mini
I'm
fight.
sorry.
Yeah.
It was before that. I would have been talking about that too. Because
I copied my notes from my iPad to my phone, so I'm so sorry. So
you
yes, so
fine.
we have Larsa. What did she tell her again?
she told her
She
that
told her,
she,
"You better be lucky."
I'm so sorry.
you
Yeah,
better be lucky that what's his name? What's
Jody.
Jody,
That
Jody,
Jody staying.
because you're a
after
spoiled.
Jody knows what's gonna put up with you.
Yeah,
Like
you're a spoiled brat. Nobody's
yeah.
gonna put up with you. And she says, "How dare you?" Making that face that Lisa makes when she gets offended. She goes,
Oh,
it was her face, but that was literally her face. Like I don't know why she does that, but she was like
no, Daddy.
It was though.
And for me, I actually, I've never been on the Larsa train. But this episode, I'm probably after this episode, I'm probably gonna go back to not liking Larsa. But this episode, Larsa was very enjoyable to me, and I loved. I think for Lisa, it never hits her. Like she gets offended when the other girls say it, but the fact that it's coming from her best friend now, she's like, "You too, bitch," So, Larsa basically tells you, you're lucky. I'm just saying, nobody's gonna put up with you. You're not easy. You're like a spoiled kid, a spoiled brat. So, any thoughts on that? I'm so sorry I missed that part, you guys.
You're fine. I'll just say this. I like. So it's crazy. I know that Lisa is going through a line. She just got to sign these papers. She got all this information this day. But baby, the way that she tried to boss up on Larsa, it was just like we've seen her have a backbone, but it was just like I was very surprised. Like, oh, like is there more to Lisa that we're not seeing? Because she stood up on her chest like, what? What do you mean? Like, well, you're a bully. Like, I live for it. I still didn't live for Larsa because I just feel like the same could be applied to her. Like, if it don't work out between you and Marcus Jordan, like, stop it. So I just found it funny that she was saying that. I mean, they are friends, so I don't think she meant anything by it, and that's why when she called her a bully, she was like, "Okay, and." That's what I'm saying. Like Larsa was like, okay.
And I love that response. Okay, I will say, Cortez, to what you're saying about Lisa, like kind of bucking up at Larsa, like you haven't seen it before. Sometimes when you're closer to somebody, your reaction is a lot different than it is towards other people. Like, because Lisa might have been thinking, "B, I know you ain't talking of all people," So I'm pretty sure that's where that came from. So now we're gonna talk about the dogs.
Well,
Um,
it was the pot calling the kettle black for sure because she's
it
like, "You're
definitely
needy," and it's like, "Wait, you can't go 2 seconds
a
without
party after
lunches."
5 days
Yeah,
of being
so
away.
Right.
they were just calling each other out. But I think Lisa also was putting on for the cameras, which is why she was able to buck up so quick, like Tess was saying. Because first she was crying, she was like, and then she's like, "Wait, did you say that to me?"
Right.
So
She was so like, you said that to me?
yeah.
Like not you too.
Yeah, so
Um,
it made me feel like Lisa's putting on for the cameras too. I think she is going through something, but the way she can switch from tears to bucking and then bucking to tears, she's manipulating people for sympathy, and it's a little bit much
sympathy and payola.
to say the least. Sympathy and payola,
Uh,
yes.
so so now we see some dogs, and Lisa says they look hungry and dirty, and she wants to feed them. And she starts grabbing them sandwiches, chicken, whatever she could find, and starts throwing at the wall. Everybody is screaming no to them. And Lisa just ignores them and keeps throwing food. And at first I thought she gonna make them dogs jump in the water because she wasn't even throwing hard enough for it to reach the land. Like it was landing in the water, and I'm like, them dogs are gonna jump in that green water. And she already feels. We already know how she feels about Mexico because she said she was gonna catch an STD just jumping in the water. So why you want them dogs to jump in the water? Um, but Lisa ignores them and keeps throwing the food. Um, and Kiki can't take it anymore and tells Lisa to chill out because it's not cool. And Lisa says, "What? This is better than anything the dogs have ever eaten." Um, and I thought that was crazy to say because that came out very like the dogs, don't have nobody to love and care for them. And the gondolier David also does not like it. He tells Alexia in Spanish that the owners of the dogs feed them too. And I googled like because I saw a comment on Twitter about how in Mexico how people are about pets and stuff, and it's true. In Mexico, they love their dogs. So I know that whatever they cooking for them, the dogs get some too. Like them dogs are not going to go without. Um, so as Kiki tells Larsa to stop, Lisa stands up and begins yelling at Kiki. Kiki tells her that she needs to sit down, and I know Kiki's mad because that vein in her neck was popping out. And Kiki tells her, you need to sit down or things are going to get worse. And then Lisa gives Kiki a look like a 2-year-old gives their parent, like, I'm not moving, and what? And she dares them to do something. And, like a 2-year, yeah, doing that, like, I dare you. And well, Kiki accepted the dare because she threw a juice box at her that nobody understood where the juice box came from. If it was a Capri Sun or a Juicy Juice or what. But Lisa, with the fragility of a full-blown Karen, says that Kiki assaulted her. And they're both continuously screaming at each other. And Lisa tells Kiki to shut the F up. And Kiki tosses it right back to her. And they do a ping pong match with the shut the F up. I think they each said it like 5 more times. Everybody knows that Lisa's upset about her divorce. And she screams out, I'm having a blank day, a shitty day. And they all know that she's upset about her divorce. But thankfully, none of them coddle her. Alexia says that Lisa is embarrassing them all. And they go back and forth. And Alexia starts giving her, some words too. And Lisa finally sits down. So, before we get into the next scene, anything in this argument, Shantae?
Yeah, Lisa is canceled for me right now in terms of just all her antics, all the ways that she just was so comfortable being so aggressive with Kiki when Larsa just disrespected her to her face and it wasn't half of that energy. So I was super offended at the way she treated Kiki. And then, of course, when you look at the grand scheme of, how she treated the people who are the owners of that dog, it's typical just toxic charity. She's thinking that she's so much better and able to provide these dogs with, this gourmet, whatever leftovers it was that she had. And by throwing the food, once she's like disrespecting the people's property, putting the dogs potentially in danger if they were gonna jump in the water, but all she cares about is making herself feel good making herself feel like she did this nice thing. And that's how a lot of privileged people go into situations in developing countries. That toxic charity that she was displaying is just like the tip of the iceberg. There are even worse stories. Like there was one story that actually a documentary came out of a white woman who was doing medical procedures on people, and she didn't even go to medical school. Like she was pretending to be a doctor, basically doing treatments on people. And that's that kind of mindset. Like you don't know what the situation is, you don't have all the information, and those people probably own that land, that you're thinking is so, I guess, dilapidated or whatever in your mind from your privileged perspective, and you can't even see or hear your friends telling you, not to do this, because she's so caught up in seeing herself as this like white savior, for these dogs and these people, and it's just like so late. Lisa is canceled for me. We thought Larsa was the villain all along, but this is when I was like, nope, the true villain that needs the crown is right there. So I was proud of Larsa for standing up to her, and I'm done with Lisa for now. I can't.
Cortez?
My issue with this whole thing was that she just wouldn't stop. Like in multiple ways, she wouldn't sit down. She was constantly being aggressive in this situation. When she was throwing the food, she kept throwing the food, even when they told her to stop. And she continued to double down in saying that this is better than what they're eating. This is probably better than what they're eating. So that lets you know where her mind is. Like she in this moment, I don't care what she's going through. She can go through 2 more divorces. It does not excuse your behavior. If you're that unhinged, then you shouldn't be around girls. Because what you're saying is anything, because I'm going through this, I can say and do what I want to do. And I think that's what she was. That's what that's probably the realistic. Because I've never seen Lisa like that. But hey, I'm not saying it's not her. I think that is her. I've seen comments online. People say, this is why she's going through. I don't, want to say that because Lenny, this does not absolve Lenny from being a horrible person. However, I will say, this mentality is probably some of the reason why she's going through what she's going through, and that in terms of fighting for the certain amount, because she's going to get something, right? She's not walking out of this without anything, but getting what she wants and to live this whole privileged life. I mean, let's think about it, Lisa. You came from nothing and you married somebody, and he literally built your life. So it's very interesting to see people forget where they came from. Not saying she came from a land of dogs that look like they may need some chicken or some food, but like she clearly didn't come from much, to where she is now. So I just think she'll be a little more humble, and maybe she'll look at this and be like, huh, I see, I may see why I'm going through what I'm going through a little bit in terms of like, finance and stability, because look at how I present myself on TV. I hope that at the reunion, when they bring this up, that she sees it. I kind of applaud Kiki for not going where she could have went with Lisa, because it looked like she was really upset. Actually, I've never really seen her be upset, but it looked like she was. I think she said at one point she was like shaking or something like that.
She said I'm shaking because
where you want to do something, but you know that you just don't want to do it. I think frail little Lisa would have been thrown over in the water. I ain't gonna lie. I think Kiki.
She would have been right with them dolls on the tree.
Yeah, I don't think she was gonna fight her, but I think that throwing that juice box was the best thing. You know how like you're in traffic and you like, let me find something to throw. I think it was like, let me do something, because if I do what I really want to do, like as in get out this car, or in this case, get to Lisa, I'm gonna regret it. So go ahead, Kiki. Kiki, she said she's showing in this moment that she's more than just a dildo in sex show.
Yes, yes.
I agree.
Finally.
And Shantae, when you mentioned about how Lisa thinks she's helping by feeding the dogs, I get that. What I saw from Lisa a little bit was like a savior complex in a sense, because it was like, I'm feeding the dogs, I'm giving this man who's about to pass out from pushing the gondola some water, like so I do see that in her, and I don't know, maybe she's feeling helpless with everything that's going on, and she wanted to make herself feel useful. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt here. I'm with you, Cortez. She could have.
But every time I'm so tired of Lisa. Lisa,
Yeah,
girl,
I can't
no.
hear it, but
No,
I,
she should have saved herself. You saw that wig on her head? It looked like one of Kim Zolciak old wigs under the
I don't know
scarf.
what she was.
I was
I
like,
didn't even.
she needs to help herself
I didn't
first before she
even.
call herself helping them dogs.
I didn't even want to talk about what she had on, but something me and my friends say, and I hate to say it like this, but she looks stupid. Like it looks horrible. Um, and I'm with you, Cortez. I think that if Kiki did what she wanted to do, Kiki was going to fling her out there like she was throwing them sandwiches. Um, and I agree. It's one thing to have one or two people telling you to stop, but if you have everyone telling you to stop, sometimes you got to stop and think, okay, maybe it is me in this moment. Maybe I am the one. They
Everybody,
gave
and I
her a
was,
chance to vent as that same video you showed with that's how they were feeling as soon as she said,
but they
I
supported her.
need.
I will say this group, I applaud this group because they could really let her have it, and they have been for 2 years listening to her vent. And I will say they've been way more gracious than other casts would have been. Another
She
cast would have said,
suffocates the energy out of the room.
Dorit would have said, "Girl, get over it," and everybody. I mean, she told Garcia to get over her
That's
stuff.
not what she would have said. Dorit would have said, "Well, when I was 7, and um, but no, she just suffocates the energy out of the room. It's like they gave you time to talk in the beginning. They let you get it out the way, and yet we still have to deal with it the rest of the ride. Like I would not have. She would have got done like Quad. She would have go home. Yeah. So Cortez, can you put the link in the comments before I go over the last scene?
Yeah. I don't know if this was the primary part, but I think this is the part where, because I actually screamed when Alexia told her, "What if we told you shut the?" I thought she was gonna say I thought she was gonna say, "What if we said to shut the f up about Lenny?" And I was like, but she didn't say it. I was like, ah.
And she should.
Like, yes, somebody say it.
Somebody say Nisha, I want to thank Nisha. Thank you for the super chat.
Yes.
Because what you said is very true. If you're emotionally raw, keep to yourself or go see a therapist. Sometimes I know we all use our friends as, I don't want to say crutches, but as a thing to lean on. But sometimes you need more than just an ear to listen, and not all friends are qualified to give good advice and guide you through your things. So I really wish she would go get some therapy, because it's obvious she needs some. Because I feel bad for them kids too. I'm sure. I'm hoping that she's true to her word and doesn't talk bad about him in front of her. But I know when she's yelling on the phone with him or whatever, them kids know what's like. They know. And it makes me feel bad. But, well, after she sits down, she says, I'm getting off this boat. I'm getting off this boat. And Larsa suggests they should do a prayer. And they say, who's going to say the prayer? Well, Adriana volunteers. And they try to hold hands. They say hold hands. And they're telling Lisa to hold hands. But Lisa is like this. No, I'm good. I don't know who she was calling, an Uber or what, to come get her from the boat. But she just refused. And when I tell you, Adriana started off with one of the worst prayers I have ever heard in my life. And I think the universe also agrees that the prayer was horrible, because at that exact moment, the wind started gathering up and the sun went away. And then to top it off, as all of this is happening, we're hearing gasps and screams because they see what it looks like hanging bodies from trees. They didn't notice at first that they're dolls of babies, and they ask the gondolier what it is. And he tells them they're at the island of the dead dolls. He tells the story of how the dolls came to be, and I'll try to summarize that in a nutshell. But a man witnessed a little girl drown in the water, and he started putting the dolls up so she could play at night. The spirit could, the girl could play with the dolls at night to let him sleep. And it became obsessive, and he just started putting up so many dolls to where people started saying he was crazy. And the girls are ready to get out of Dodge, but nobody is more ready to leave than Julia, who is most upset at seeing those dead baby dolls because it obviously puts her in the mind frame of her son that died as an infant. And I felt horrible for her in that point. Like, I really felt bad for Julia in that point. But Cortez, your thoughts?
So please don't, I'm not evil, okay? Um, Now I felt horrible for Julia, but when I think back to the trailer when they were like all on this boat, everybody was crying, and I think this is that scene. So I started laughing because I took it because in the trailer they was all just crying. Gertie was crying, Alexia was crying, everyone was crying. I
I thought
think
they
this
threw
made
Lisa overboard.
I know. And so I just kind of was tickled. But I mean, I feel horrible in general. That story sounds crazy. Um, but it's a legit story. So hey, I don't know what that man went through with the little girl drowning in dolls, but hey, but somebody get Julia off that boat. She already had to go to church. She didn't want to go to church. Now she's seeing these dolls. She is about to go. If anybody deserves to spiral out in this moment, it should be Julia because she is having to sit through a lot of discomfort.
If
So
that boat had a jet ski attached, she would have took off.
Yes.
And that's pretty much it. Like I do want to see what happens in this moment. Wasn't Adriana's prayer? I don't know why they let her pray. The woman that thought that somebody else's child's incident was less important than her foot last year. Why would they let her pray?
And I will say though that the prayer provided a quick minute of comedic relief that was needed for the intense scene that we had just seen. It really provided the comedic relief we needed. Shante?
Yeah.
Yes. A couple things. So one, I think Adriana was on vocal rest. Remember, she's performing, for all those people. So I think she was trying to do, the most simplest prayers that wouldn't, tax those precious vocals. But the heavens did open up when she prayed because it definitely was not enough for the moment. So I'm glad they all stopped her. But that story with the dolls and the spirit, I actually went on like this haunted house tour, like a ghost hunt kind of in New Orleans with like a couple of my people, and there was a similar story. Apparently, there was this enslaved child that had died in one of these houses, and the people were buying dolls for her still. So like when you go into one of these ghost tours, you can see there's like a house with all these baby dolls. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, I totally could see how this happened because it's like a whole nother country and it's like a similar thing. Mm-hmm. So it actually starts to make me wonder if maybe Lisa got possessed by that girl ghost or that child because she was acting very childish. If it's not like her being completely, white savior complex, if anything else could possess her to act like that, I could see it being like a childish,
Well, if it did possess her, it was in this moment. She went. That's when it happened.
That moment, right? So that's the only little excuse I could maybe make for Lisa. Maybe she got possessed, but other than that, Lisa's still canceled. And I actually cried for Julia then because that story is real sad with like I think it was the baby daddy that I think set it up for the nanny to do that to the child. So it's like so tragic. And then her seeing all that would just bring all those bad things up again. So I felt sorry. Julia.
I got Cortez, you see that comment?
Don't take Neca there.
Don't take Neca about the dolls.
Neca probably watched this episode and said, see, I bet you Wendy's mama over there is over there too. Oh, not Neca. Leave her over there.
Well, so y'all, that is it. We have come to the end of the episode. We do have one caller. Cortez, if you could bring them in.
Okay. It's on. It is Riley. Hey, Riley.
Hi.
Welcome, Riley.
How are you? Can you hear us? Okay, we hear you. Let's see.
Riley,
it says you're on mute. You're on mute, Riley.
Okay.
And
okay. Oh, hi guys. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, now we hear.
Okay. Sorry. Just want to say I really enjoy the show and really enjoy the panel. Whoever is on the panel, I always watch. Sometimes I don't comment because it's very early in South Africa. So sometimes I'm just waking up to get ready to go to work. So I'll just listen while I'm getting ready. But today I have a day off, so I decided to call in. I just wanted to say that gondola ride was the most unhinged few minutes of television I've seen in a very long time. Yeah. As someone who I minored in anthropology and sociology, so I really love reality shows because I like to just kind of see the psyche of people and I look for like these small things, so you could understand that someone like me who are always looking for stuff like that. I watched that scene probably like 4 or 5 times because I was just like this. You can't ever script anything like this. I don't care who the writer is. You couldn't have written this whole thing. And then when Adriana was starting the prayer with like, Lord have mercy on our souls or something like that, I was like, what? Is the gondola capsizing or something? Why is she praying for this? The only thing that would have been more funny, like funnier, is if she started the prayer with "I hope my show goes well tomorrow" or something. I was low key
I
expecting
was
her
too.
to start the prayer off like that. But that scene was intense. Like all the stages of grief were evident in that scene. Um, People were crying, people were laughing, there was fighting, swearing. It was just insane. My brother doesn't watch these shows and he hates reality TV. But I actually made him watch just that whole gondola scene, and he was like, "What the hell do you watch? Like, what do you do with your life? This is what you actually watch for entertainment. This is
Yeah.
where these people are messed up." But yeah, it was a great episode. I really enjoy Miami, and I think it's probably the best franchise for me. But thank you guys for a great show again.
Thank you,
Riley,
Riley.
Thank
quick
you for your
question.
comment.
Since you, Riley, since you said, since you study psych, what did you gather about Lisa during this scene? Was she lashing out at that? Was she really upset with them, or is she lashing out at them because of Lenny?
I think, in my humble opinion, I think that she wanted them to make everything about her again when she told them that story, and when they
Yes.
didn't, she lashed out because of that. I do think, of course, signing the papers and stuff, yes, that was what drove her to do that. But I thought that she thought they were all gonna rally around her again, and when she saw that they didn't, I mean, she was talking and Lhasa was waving at the other gondola or something like that, and from that moment on, like the Kill Bill sirens went off, and she just decided she was going to act out to make everything about her again. I do think she
Mm-hmm.
has sort of like that Dorit that bias that she has, but I think Dorit, she does, when she does that stuff, I think it's just because I feel like she knows what she's doing. But with Lisa, I just think she's not the smartest. So sometimes she'll do things, and she won't know that it's actually offensive. So I think, I mean, maybe I'm giving her a bit too much grace, but I think Dorit does things where she'll do stuff like that because she wants to elicit some type of reaction, whereas Lisa is just, for lack of a better word, kind of dumb.
I agree.
That's a
What?
very good point. I'll
Yeah.
say something really quick to you, Riley, about that. It makes sense if you look at it like 'cause I forgot to mention that when she did tell them about the Lenny thing, like everybody was kind of like listening, but a lot of them were like you said, Larsa was just like, but it doesn't, I mean, it's Larsa. I mean, what do you expect from Larsa? But they were like paying attention this time, but they weren't as attentive. And if you think about it, she had the spotlight on her the entire time. Whether when she told them about Lenny, when she asked him to take a picture or video when she was doing the boat, when she got into it with Kiki. I mean, she really did kind of get their attention or have it about her the entire time.
Yeah.
I think it was unintentional to have that, but I definitely see her as that kind of person. That's a very valid point, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, well, thank you so much for calling in, Riley. We really enjoyed you. We hope
Yeah.
next time you have a day off again so you can call in. Really love hearing your perspective. And thank you so much for always watching us. It means a lot, especially from South Africa. We love to hear
I
from our
know. We
callers
appreciate that.
everywhere,
Thank
but
you.
it's something more special about, someone from the other side of the world. So thank you so
I
much.
know.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you,
You too.
Riley.
Yeah.
So we have no more callers. So Cortez, Shantae, thank you. I just want to say, Cortez, do you know if Potomac and Married to Medicine are showing Sunday since the Grammys are on?
I don't. I didn't hear
Because
that they
sometimes,
were.
okay, okay,
I
cool.
didn't. I didn't see anything that they weren't. I didn't see anything about a break. So I believe so Super Bowl Sunday. I don't. I think
Is when
they
they're
will
going to be
take
off.
Grammys.
Okay,
They still will air, but I think Super Bowl Sunday is when they don't. Because Grammys is like a Super Bowl is like a. I mean, Grammys is big too, but it's still a acquired taste versus Super Bowl. Everybody watching for
everybody
the game.
watched it.
And
So yeah,
Usher.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Usher Bowl.
I just looked. They are on. The episode guy says they will be on Sunday. So that
Yeah.
means join us on Monday for Potomac,
Yeah.
Tuesday for Married to Medicine, Wednesday for Beverly Hills, and back again Thursday for this great panel. Once again, we love you. We appreciate you. We couldn't do any of this without you. Make sure to like, subscribe, tell a friend to check us out so they can tell a friend and they can tell a friend, keep it going. The more we get to grow, the more content we would love to be able to bring you guys. So once again, thank you. And on that note, we can lean out.
All right. And to Lisa, I always